Okay, it's Freedom Friday. I'm having major difficulties today, so we're not on the Freedom Friday template. We're on a whole different groove, man. We're using the KAPOW radio show template on the recorder because, well, I'm having major technical issues, as usual. What's the date, Mr. KAPOW?
Today is the 21st of April, 2017.
Okay, going to do a short show. I just kind of want to remind people where we're at. As far as the satanic calendar, you've heard us talk about this before on past shows, so we're not going to go over all of this again. Very interesting stuff, but starting from the winter solstice, you have 13 weeks into the spring equinox, which takes us into March 21st, 22nd. It's goddess Ostara, or Ostara, or Istar, all of those, what is called Easter. That's where we're at, March 21st through 22nd. Goddess Ostara comes into our calendar. Easter is the first Sunday after the first new moon, okay, after Ostara. The other day, we were having breakfast at one of the local places here. And in fact, I think it was the day after Easter.
Yeah.
And I had asked the waitress who was serving us if it was busy that day, and she said it wasn't as bad as it had been in the past. A lot of people were out of town or whatever like that, but she didn't quite know why it wasn't as successful as it had been in the past. And I said something about Easter, and I said, it's the new moon. Oh, we were talking about how Easter was late. And that the schools had already let out, had spring break.
And you had said something about the full moon.
Yeah, and so she thought it was because Easter was so late, and she didn't understand why Easter was so late this year. And I said, because it's determined on the full moon. As soon as you get a full moon, that's when it's determined. It's not a set in our calendar. It's very occultic. Easter is from Satan. But when she looked at me like like I was nuts, and she just said, she goes, "Oh, okay, we'll blame the moon." Then walked away. So she had no idea whatsoever what I was talking about. I don't make this up. Easter is the first Sunday after the first new moon, after Ostara, from May 21st to 22nd is goddess Ostara. So when that first new moon shows up, that's when Easter is. That's why it always changes. March 21st is a satanic human sacrifice night. And then April 1st, which is All Fool's Day, is precisely 13 weeks since New Year's Day. Right? It's all in 13s. April 19th through May 1st, that's where we're at right now on the calendar. It's blood sacrifice to Satan, to the beast. It's blood sacrifice to the beast system. Okay.
And it's most critical 13-day period, too.
It is. This is big, but you don't hear a lot of people really emphasizing the times we're in right now. But it's huge. You're going to have a lot of deaths, a lot of weird, crazy things happening, right? Fire sacrifice is required on April 19th. That was last Wednesday. If you're listening to the show today, which is Friday, that was last Wednesday, the 19th. Fire sacrifice is required. Get on your search engine, type in April 19th, fire and death, and read all about it. April 30th to May 1st is Beltaine Festival. It's also called Walpurgis Night. This is the highest day on the Druidic witches calendar. May 1st is the Illuminati's second most sacred holiday. Obviously, the most sacred is Halloween. May 1st. Human sacrifice is required. Okay, but I don't want to get ahead on the calendar. That's April 30th, May 1st. You can expect that stuff. A lot of human sacrifice. April 19th through May 1st is where we're at right now. Blood sacrifice to the beast. Fire sacrifice is required on May 19th. But you're going to see a lot of death and destruction. That's what's happening. And it's not like a bunch of old men sitting in a room thinking about, hey, how we're going to fulfill this, what are we going to do? It's the zeitgeist, it's the beast, it's the spirit. The beast that's anti-God, anti-Christ, the beast is the zeitgeist, it's the spirit. Okay? I'm not sitting around waiting for some guy to come up and go, I'm going to be world leader. I'm the Antichrist. It's here. It always has been here. That's what John said 2,000 years ago when he said the Antichrist spirit has gone out from among us. Before that, it was anti-God. That's what these people are. They're Satanists. They're Antichrist. That's what they're all about.
That's right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's look at. Do you have anything to add on that?
No.
You do. Because you can really go on and on to great detail. Let me just say this: that it's very interesting how all of us celebrate all these satanic holidays like it's normal. The whole calendar's been changed, and they're all part of the mystery religion. Really, Easter, Halloween, Christmas, Valentine's Day. I mean, I go on and on. I remember when I first heard this stuff from Doc Mikey, and he just kind of laid it all out, and you were like, wow, and you had no idea the occult backgrounds for all these holidays, and he kind of like just threw it on your lap and said, now you know, you do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
And it was right around Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it was in February.
Yeah, so Miss KAPOW and I we were out shopping somewhere, and you saw these Valentine stuff, and it was kind of like, you mean we're not going to celebrate Valentine's Day anymore? And we said, no, we're not going to give honor to little demonic cupids and lust and Eros, and all that stuff. So, yeah, we had to make a decision there, but it wasn't like an easy thing to go, I mean, all this stuff had to fall off. Anyway, so we're going to say this. You do whatever you want. That's your life, whatever you want to do. The autumnal equinox is 13 weeks, right, from the winter solstice. Everything's in 13. Am I correct, Ms. KAPOW?
Yep.
It's a minor Sabbath, but does require human sacrifice.
Most of them do. Don't you think?
Yes. And you know what? I'm sorry. I am sorry. I said autumnal equinox. We're not in autumn. We're in spring equinox, which is 13 weeks. It's still a minor Sabbath, and it still requires human sacrifice. Okay. Spring equinox, 13 weeks from the winter equinox. Anyway, it's interesting that our whole calendar system is surrounded by these mystery religions. And you may not even realize it, but your whole year is ordered after pagan holidays.
Yep.
The entire calendar for the Western world is ordered around satanic festival times and days. It really is. Look it up. I don't make this up. It exists. And we have our entire calendar is a cult calendar. And then you can go back to any of these significant holidays and see the pagan and occult
practices.
Yeah, practices behind it, the agenda behind it. So the human sacrifice required during many of these occult dates, they have to contain certain following elements. All right, and if they're exaggerated, that's even better. One, the human sacrifice needs to contain trauma, stress, mental anguish, sheer terror. The final act in the drama should be destruction by a fire, preferably a conflagration, if you can. People must die as human sacrifices, especially children. Satan loves when the younger children sacrifice are happening. All right?
That's why I think we have a whole bunch of those missing children that are not accounted for.
Yeah, dozens of them. Well, so April 19th, this is just a couple of things. I'm going to spend the whole show talking about all this stuff, but just a couple of things. April 19th is a human sacrifice day, preferably by fire, if you can, but that's what it is on the 19th. Once again, I want to stress, it's not a bunch of guys running around in black hoods looking for people to light on fire and kill them on the 19th. It's the spirit. It's the demons. This whole society, the whole globe, is just demon-infested. This is just a big demon-infested rock. It really is.
Yeah, it's the prince of the air that rules everything.
Yeah. So that's what you're dealing with. So you're not going to change this. You're not going to convert witches and Satanists, and you're not going to change anything. You're not called to change anything. You're called into eternal life. If you're not on the bus, you're not going to get anybody else on the bus. Mm-hmm. We all need to start paying attention to our own lives. All right. This is from New York Post. It says, man dies after setting himself on fire inside of a car. This was April 19th. The part of the satanic practice. Right? Mm-hmm. A man committed suicide by dousing himself in the inside of his vehicle with gasoline and then setting the car ablaze on a Queens highway early Wednesday. That was the 19th. So the firefighters responded. This guy was 50 years old. He, let's see, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. All these details, who cares? Anyway, so some witness said that he heard an explosion. And he went out there and he saw flames shooting up 15 to 20 feet into the sky.
Wow.
Remember, part of it is exaggerated. They want trauma. They want terror. So what does this kind of thing do?
Yeah.
And after the flames were extinguished, firefighters found a badly burned body in the driver's seat. Mm. The witnesses said, we saw them pull the body out of a stretcher. There wasn't much left in the bag. So the guy who killed himself, he's not 50. I was incorrect. He was 41. He had stopped by his uncle's gas station. He soaked himself and the car with gas before driving off and phoning relatives to say he intended to burn himself to death. And then he parked his car on the highway and ignited himself in flames. Mm. All right. So this fits in perfect with the April 19th occult holidays. Mm-hmm. Perfect with it.
How terrible, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it causes all this trauma for everybody who sees it, the whole bit. Mm-hmm. So once again, remember, goddess Ostara or Ishtar, for whom Easter is named, is one of Satanist. That's one of the Illuminati Satanist human sacrifice nights. Mm-hmm. I know. And its date does shift, and it uses a common practice of astrology. It's always celebrated on the first Sunday after the first new moon after Ostara. Always. Mm-hmm. Yet, you have hundreds and thousands of nominal, ignorant, biblically ignorant Christians celebrating this holiday every year. Every year. Like I said, we quit doing it even before we heard about it because it just didn't sit right with us. Especially
we
when
have the Easter bunnies there.
Yeah, especially when they had Easter bunny in the church. And I'm running security for the pastor because somebody might hurt him, and he's parking his Harley in a handicap zone, and I can go on and on about that particular Easter. But God just said, this isn't right. And then when you heard Doc Marquis' presentation,
it just solidified.
Yeah, it was something else. But anyway, you got to know Easter has nothing to do with the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. Absolutely nothing. It's a pagan tradition. It celebrates the return of Semiramis, right, into her reincarnated form of the spring goddess. Semiramis, I can't even talk today, was Nimrod's wife. Mm-hmm.
And the hot crust buns. That's what they fed her.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. The pagans even have an equivalent to Good Friday. It's Easter Friday. It's historically been timed to be the third full moon from the start of the year. Since the marrying of pagan Easter to Jesus' resurrection, Good Friday is permanently fixed on the Friday prior to Easter. It's all occult. It's all astrology. Easter is steeped in the Babylonian mysteries. Yep. That's right. So we're past the Easter, the Easter celebration where Christians have now called it Resurrection Sunday, but we're in a very dark, satanic, occult period of the calendar.
Right.
Very much. Very much. Okay, the next guy is a student, or he was a student, and he does the same thing. He was a 21-year-old University of Illinois student, and he killed himself Wednesday morning, the 19th, by a conflagration, death by fire. It's what's required on the 19th. It's required. Like I said, I don't think a bunch of guys in black robes found these men and did that to them. They did it to themselves because the men in black robes live inside of them. Mm-hmm. A 21-year-old University of Illinois student committed suicide by lighting himself on fire Wednesday at an amphitheater outside the campus Performing Arts Center. Mm-hmm. It was at a little before 3 a.m. in the morning. Police arrived.
Interesting.
Yeah. The police arrived. They found a person with severe burns. A gas can was found next to him. The flames were extinguished, and he is burnt to a crisp.
That's so sad.
Yeah. He used gasoline to light himself on fire.
Like Human Torches.
Yeah. Yeah. It remains an active death investigation, but it believes police say it's a suicide, isolated incident Wednesday morning. So that's just like two examples in two different places. Now here's one that I came across the other day. This is closer to my home, Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. Las Vegas is a pit. It's a crime. It's just a crime pit. It's really amazing over there. The crime. It's a war zone.
Yeah.
And this is like almost like a typical story for Las Vegas, but this is the 19th. This guy was captured. He did a random. He stabbed 3 people in Las Vegas randomly. What caught my attention to this story was that this is the 3rd guy who did this.
Yeah,
just randomly killed people. The first we heard was this Facebook, idiot. Who live streamed the killing of that?
Yes,
the dude picking up cans. The 70-year-old man. That was the first one we heard of it. Then there was a fool. We'll talk about it in Fresno who killed a bunch of white people in the name of Muhammad and Allah, but it's not a terrorist attack according to the KAPOW there. And he killed, I think, 3 people just because they were white. Same day though, the 19th. The Facebook killer wasn't, but these other fools were. So this guy. He just goes on random stabbings, and one person's dead on this the whole deal. And this was Wednesday, the 19th. He's a 32-year-old guy. Oh, see, what did he do? He just went. Let's see, it's a little convoluted, the story, but the police were called about a person chasing another person with a knife, and that guy got away. And what he says about the suspect is he walked up to me as I was working on a car and he said, "Are you from the mafia?" And then out of nowhere, he pulled this knife and said, "You are from the cartel," and tried to stab me. So he's nuts, right? He's operating under...
Yeah, they have all these imaginations that are not even real.
Yeah, they have all these demons. They've opened themselves up. You call it bipolar, you call it schizophrenic. I don't care what name the scientist and the psychologist and all the people want to give it. It's called demon possession. It's demon possession. That's what causes that, what they call the mental illness, right? Mm-hmm. So then he goes to a this is great. He goes to a Big 5 sporting goods store and he tries to purchase a shotgun. Yeah. Obviously, he can't get a shotgun. So he leaves and he goes behind a sushi shop and there's a person there just working or doing something and he stabs that person. Mm. Yeah. That victim was just performing maintenance. It's just a worker guy.
Yeah.
So he stabs him and then he goes to an AM/PM convenience store and that person was working behind the counter and he stabs him, and then that person ended up dying. Yeah. Now, just to let you know what a hellhole Las Vegas is, it's in the county of Clark County. I live in Clark County, too. But it's the 48th homicide this year. And it's only April.
I know it.
50 people have been murdered in Las Vegas.
Well, it's interesting that this guy had 3 victims.
Yeah. Interesting number, huh? Mm-hmm. Yep. 3 victims. So he just goes crazy, randomly kills people. Now, on the same day, the exact same day, April 19th, in Fresno, California, the suspect, he shows no remorse, by the way, because he's crazy. He killed 3 white men in Fresno in a shooting spree. And it was racist, and it was filled with hate. And he has no remorse for the murders. It's a hate crime based on race and gender, said the police. 39-year-old Corey Ali Muhammad, who was a black man, wanted to kill as many white people as possible after a warrant for his arrest was released in the murder of a 25-year-old Motel 6 security guard last week. So his killing number is up to 4, but he killed 3 on the 19th.
See, that's interesting.
Yeah. They weren't set on fire, but a lot of trauma, a lot of death, a lot of blood. So Muhammad told investigators he killed the security guard because he felt disrespected by him during an altercation at the motel. He said he fled the scene and hid out at a 7-Eleven rooftop while police conducted the investigation. And then he realized he was wanted in the murder of the security guard. See, that's why you always pay to look up. Here, this guy was right above the cops the whole time, hiding. You always got to look up. So he didn't want to go down as someone who just shot a security guard. It wasn't enough for him. He wanted more fame. He wanted to shoot as many white people as possible before his arrest. It's a pretty good motive, huh?
Sheesh.
I killed a guy. I'm going to get arrested, but it's not enough. If I'm going to get arrested, I'm going to go down with a bigger bang. I want to kill some white people. So Muhammad, the Muslim, the black Muslim, told police he did not like white people and said they were responsible for keeping black people down. On Tuesday, Dyer shot and killed 34-year-old PG&E worker. He killed a 37-year-old guy who was walking in the neighborhood and a 58-year-old man who was outside a Catholic charity office.
So that's 3 people as well, right?
Yes, because you can't count the security guard before. That's 3 people on this same day. Vegas, 3 people on that same day. Interesting. 33. So the chief of police told reporters it's very rare for a homicide suspect to cooperate with investigators in recounting the killings, and he believes Muhammad was proud of what he did. Muhammad told the police he gave himself up because he respects Fresno officers. Ooh, that's a good thing. And he didn't want to shoot him, and he's not a coward. Muhammad yelled, now he did yell, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. He yelled the Muslim, God is great, the Muslim God, during his arrest, and described himself as a Muslim, but says he practiced voodoo rituals and prays to, dun, 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 7 different gods. Okay, you get my point? It sounds just like a random article, a random deal, but it's part of these occult holidays. Easter, the day of Ishtar, is celebrated widely among various cultures and religions on earth. Babylon, Ishtar, Easter, also called the moon goddess. Catholics celebrate it, Virgin Mary, Queen of Heaven. The Chinese, Sing Mu. The Druids, Virgo Paratura. In Egypt, she's known as Isis. The pagan Ephesians, Diana. Germans, ancient Germans, Hertha. Greeks, Aphrodite or Ceres. India, Isi or Idrana. The ancient Jews, another queen of heaven, Astaroth. Rome, Venus or Fortuna. Scandinavians, Disa. Sumerians, Nana. And of course, America, Easter.
Yep.
Americans Easter, right? So the Babylonians celebrated the day as the return of Ishtar, or Easter, the goddess of spring. They celebrated the rebirth or reincarnation of nature and the goddess of nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
According to Babylonian legend, Miss KAPOW, there was a huge egg that fell from heaven.
Kind of reminds me of the Lady Gaga song. Remember when she came out of the egg?
Yes.
And that was symbolizing the new human.
Yes, the new birth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this huge egg came from heaven. It landed in the Euphrates River, which is interesting, too, because there's fallen angels under there that are going to be released at the last time. Interesting. Mm-hmm. The goddess Ishtar, or Easter, broke out of the egg, just like Lady Gaga did. I think that was one of those awards. It might have been the Grammys or something.
Yeah, one of those award thingies.
I think it was 2012 that happened. I just, in my head, I'm thinking that. Later, the feature of an egg nesting was introduced, a nest where the egg could incubate until hatched. A reed or wicker basket was conceived in which to place the Ishtar egg. Yeah, that's what it is. So the Easter egg hunt was conceived because if anyone found her egg while she was being reborn, she would bestow a blessing upon that lucky person. Mm-mm. Because this was a joyous spring festival. Eggs were colored with bright spring colors. Wow. Yes. And our local Methodist church had a big Easter egg hunt. They even took pictures with the Easter bunny inside of the sanctuary. I read it in the paper, Ms. KAPOW, so you know it's true.
It has to be true.
Okay, April 19th, just another example. Aaron Hernandez, everybody knows who this murderer was. This guy was full of demons and had a murderous spirit of murder, hate and murder. This guy was a thug that had opportunity after opportunity, had a $20 million contract to play football, and threw it all away because he wanted to give his life over to Satan. So he's dead. I haven't heard any Christians talk about this because he had John 3:16 written on his forehead and written on the wall. But I'm sure there's some fool out there going, well, he probably gave his life to the Lord at the last. He didn't. Demons, that's demonic behavior. When people turn their lives over to God, you don't write scriptures on your forehead and then kill yourself. Yeah. Because Jesus gives you life and life more abundantly. He's not going to have you kill yourself.
Yeah.
So that was just demonic behavior. That was demonic torture.
Or engrave your skin with scripture.
Yeah. That's just not right. So anyway, he allegedly hung himself from a bedsheet in a Massachusetts prison cell on Wednesday, the 19th, April 19th. And the words John 3:16 were written on his forehead and also on the wall. Anyway, to me, when I first read this, it sounded like a pinta hit to me, like because he got acquitted for killing those two guys outside of the Boston nightclub. It almost sounds like maybe the families or not La Migra, but La Ime in prison maybe did a pinta hit. But I don't know. It doesn't matter. He's dead. This guy was a thug. Yeah, there's no loss here.
And this might not have anything to do with it, but 3:16 adds up to 19.
No, I think that has something to do with it. That is interesting. Very good catch there. Because it's also written on the wall.
Yeah, and John is the fourth gospel.
Mm-hmm. So you got
4:19.
Interesting. And guess what else? Guards found the former New England Patriot star shortly after 3 a.m. The other ones I read were right before 3 a.m. All of them have that number 3. It's really quite amazing how this stuff comes out. It's like I said, it's not a bunch of people in the back room going, how can we communicate with each other? It's the spirit is communicating through this writing and stuff.
The Prince of the Air is influencing them.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Yeah, there's a lot of other numbers.
Else was living in them.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. So that's the occult, holidays, and that's where we're at right now. Those are just a few scriptures. I mean, not scriptures.
Stories.
Stories.
I do have scriptures, though.
Okay.
First one is in Psalm 7, and I'm going to go read from verse 9, which says, "Oh, let the wickedness of the wicked come to an end, but establish the just, for the righteous God trieth the hearts and reins. My defense is of God, which saves the upright in heart. God judges the righteous, and God is angry with the wicked every day. If he turn not, he will whet his sword. He hath bent his bow and made it ready. He has also prepared for him the instruments of death. He ordains his arrows against the persecutors. Behold, he travails with iniquity, and has conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. He made a pit, and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate. I will praise the Lord according to his righteousness, and will sing praise to the name of the Lord Most High." And then we go to Jude 7 through 19. And let's see. 17, I'm sorry. Let's see here. I'm sorry. Jude 14 through the 21st script verse. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, "Behold, the Lord comes with 10,000s of his saints, to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. These are murmurers, complainers, walking after their own lusts, and their mouth speaks great swelling words, having men's persons in admiration because of advantage. But, beloved, remember ye the words which were spoken before of the apostles of our Lord Jesus Christ, how that they told you there should be mockers in the last time, who should walk after their own ungodly lusts. These be they who separate themselves, sensual, having not the Spirit."
Wow. That's what we're talking about. Let me just end the show with the period that we're in right now, April 19th through May 1st. Just so that you could, when you listen to the news, you kind of know what's happening or what to expect, because it happens every year. It just keeps going on. It's, like I said before, it's blood sacrifice to the beast. It's a most critical 13-day period. Like Ms. KAPOW said, it's a real critical 13-day period. Fire sacrifice is required on the 19th. I just read a couple of stories where you saw that. I'm sure if you do more of a search, you'll find a bunch of fire and death that happened on the 19th. Very interesting with all the numbers and stuff. Good catch, too, on the Aaron Hernandez thing, Ms. KAPOW, about John being the fourth and 316. April 19th is the first day of the 13-day satanic ritual day relating to fire. That's the fire god Baal, or Molech, Nimrod, the sun god, also known as the Roman god Saturn, Satan, devil. This day is a major human sacrifice day, demanding fire sacrifice with an emphasis on children. This day is one of the most important human sacrifice days, and as such, has had some very important historic events occur on this day. This is interesting. So remember, the Illuminati considers war to be the best way to sacrifice, because it kills both children and adults. Here's some important things that happened according to this blood sacrifice day in history. April 19th, 1775, a Battle of Lexington and Concord took place, and it made the Masonic-led Revolutionary War inevitable. April 19th, 1943, after trapping the last Jewish resistance fighters in a storm drain in Warsaw and holding them for several days, Nazi stormtroopers began to pour fire into each end of the storm drain using flamethrowers. They continued pouring the fire into the drain until all the fighters were dead. Blood sacrifice brought about by a fiery conflagration. That was April 19th, 1943. April 19th, 1993, 50 years later to the day, our U.S. government, tanks, other military equipment, stormed a compound of David Koresh at Waco, Texas. And children, people were burned alive as a human sacrifice. Trauma fire, a lot of young sacrificial victims.
Mm-hmm.
Waco. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. April 19th, 1995, just a couple of years later, Oklahoma City bombing. A lot of kids got killed on that one.
Yeah.
So
senseless, man.
Yeah, it's always a day to look for stuff. And then, so now we're heading, into that Beltaine Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And on the witches' calendar, May 1st is a high sacrifice night. So just be looking for stuff like that. And stay out of the witches' covens, because they'll eat you.
Hansel and Gretel.
That's what they do, man. They eat you like a cookie. Okay, I think I've had enough positive stuff to say.
Alrighty.
All right.
Ciao, baby.
Okay, bye-bye.